Another Monday is here with us again. It's the 14th of January 2013. Hello, welcome to Joy News at 8 with me, Gifty Ando Apia. You're watching this on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Let's take a look at the headlines for tonight. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly AMA has given hawkers up to close of business today to evacuate themselves off the streets and pavements of the Central Business District. We'll bring you a situational report. Also tonight, President Mahama's response to the NPP's Supreme Court petition is causing a stir, especially with the decision to call 4,800 witnesses. We'll speak to a member of the NDC legal team. Residents of English Yamanfro who have not had potable water for 30 years are crying for help, but that's just one of their problems. We'll bring you an exclusive report. In business, abattoir operators complain of poor business after the Christmas, but are confident the high standards of their work will bring clients back. On the international front, the Nigerian military says it has arrested a leader of the Islamist militant group Boko Haram. All these plus the latest in showbiz and sports coming up in the next hour. Please stay with us for the details. And in our very first story tonight, the pedestrian walkway of the business district of Accra are usually congested with hawkers who transact their business on the pavements. They've taken over the pavements where they display their wares for the attention of pedestrians, making it completely impossible to move from one end to the other. Now, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has embarked on an operation to clear the hawkers from the streets of Accra to ensure free movement of both pedestrians and vehicles. Now, those hawkers had until close of business today to leave the streets. Emmanuel Ante toured the Central Business District with the Accra Mayor and has come through with this report.
We first hit the streets of Tama Station, where it is usually very choked, with both hawkers and pedestrians struggling for space to either display their wares or find a walkway to their destinations. This is how it looks like today. It seems there is an easy movement of pedestrians to and from the market. The hawkers are nowhere to be found. The Mayor of Accra explains why.
If the traders are here and the pedestrians are here, it becomes competition to the small space. So it becomes, and look at the volume of traffic. Look at the traffic. Look at the traffic coming from there. Look at the traffic coming from here, and look over there, the traffic. So it becomes a competition with the use of the space, small space. And so we do compromise the safety of the people. And so when we say that traders should not come on the road, it is because we do not want to compromise the lives of our people.
The story was no different from Makola, where vehicles, pedestrians and hawkers struggle for space. Now, the pavements are clear, with vehicles moving freely without any hindrance from the pedestrians and hawkers. Shops on that stretch of road, which are usually blocked by hawkers, now have easy access to their entrance. Shop owners are now happy. Customers will now have easy access to their shops.
What the AMA has done is good, because the people passing by will have the chance to know what is going on, and also to see the type of things that we sell.
I tried to engage this hawker on the directive, and this is what transpired.
So you're talking Yagana for ya and this NPP CBP to abed them all. And I'm asking about Kwama Abaya can say, Yatabama Marina, Modreso. Ya can't lot of never trim coin or MPP Bayano. Yanaka buy a mood my 1 year, 3 months, 4 months, be Yatabam, and yet 1 month cry.
For some pedestrians, it couldn't have come at an opportune time.
We are happy because all here is free. If you are walking, you can have fresh air. It's good.
It's now okay. This place is free now. You can walk, you can shop, you can do everything. So I think it's good.
The sustenance of this initiative by the AMA has been a source of worry for many because it is always abandoned whenever it is close to an election year, perhaps to score political points. But the mayor thinks otherwise.
I have no problem with anybody who wants to put a political spin on this. But you know, the month of December was also the month of Christmas and the holidays and the, the election activities. Now I'm saying that all those events are over. So we are taking back the city and make sure that we return the city to law and order. That is what it has always been, and that is what it will be. Now, the argument whether it was political or what, I mean, I don't think it's here or there.
The overhead bridges at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and Kaneshie, which are usually encroached on by beggars and hawkers, were clear. The Kaneshie overhead footbridge appeared to be weak, and from information I gathered, the footbridge might be closed to pedestrians for repairs. The AMA boss says this is as a result of the encroachment by hawkers.
Anybody that we find on this bridge selling, we will prosecute them. We have told them to stop. They need to stop. This is a national asset they are damaging. And we will not sit down and allow traders to destroy the bridge.
What was surprising, though, was the calmness of the hawkers affected by the exercise. They usually protest against directives of such nature by the assembly. But this time round, they complied with calmness. Does this mean the directive of the AMA is going down well with the hawkers? Well, time will tell. Emmanuel Ante, Joy News, Accra.
Well, then away from the streets, let's go to the presidency, where President John Mahama says currency turbulence associated with electioneering years has drawn the nation's attention to some laxity in its foreign exchange control, which his government is addressing vigorously. He was addressing a delegation from Financial Action Task Force, an anti-money laundering and terrorist financing organization, which called on him at the castle today. It is believed worldwide that terrorism can be curtailed by blocking sources of financial support. Such sources are difficult to identify in the midst of money laundering. The Anti-Terrorist Financing Group is in the country to complete a monitoring exercise it started some 3 years ago. This is to ultimately prevent and suppress terrorist financing. Some strategic deficiencies were identified in Ghana's financial system.
The issues were adequately criminalizing money laundering and terrorism financing. There was also an issue of adequately resourcing the Financial Intelligence Center for it to operate efficiently and effectively. There was an issue of ensuring that persons or entities that have been designated by the UN Security Council as terrorists are adequately treated in terms of seizure, freezing, and confiscation of their assets.
Richard Chalmers is leader of the delegation.
The FATF took a particular interest in Ghana because of those deficiencies, along with a number of other countries. On paper, we feel that substantial progress has been made. New legislation has been enacted, new regulations introduced, executive instruments, etc. Secondly, is just to have reaffirmation of the political commitment of Ghana to the process going forward and to sustaining the reforms. And the third element is to ensure that there is indeed implementation taking place and there is the institutional capacity and commitment to developing the reforms further going along.
With the passage of the Anti-Money Laundering Act in 2008, some of the gaps appear to have been bridged, although there is still some more work to be done. President Mahama said Ghana cannot afford to feign immunity to terrorism.
We'll continue to train and equip with skills the staff of the Financial Intelligence Center so that they can carry out their work adequately. But I just want to assure you that government is committed, to fighting, terrorism and also stopping money laundering. In Ghana, particularly, a lot of the money laundering that takes place would be one of a drug nature, because Ghana was beginning to become a hub for drug trafficking. We've taken the fight against the drug traffickers quite seriously, and that has made that go down a bit in terms of drug trafficking. But of course, with recent occurrences in the sub-region with regards to terrorism, especially in northern Nigeria, and the recent events in Mali. It means that our sub-region is not immune from the adverse effects of terrorism.
Together with the Ghanaian authorities, an action plan has been agreed upon to be implemented. This includes acknowledging and treating noted terrorists as such, and adequate resourcing of financial intelligence departments to abide by anti-terrorism recommendations. Well, terrorism has been a major source of concern to many nations, especially after the 9/11 attacks on America. Africa has had its own share of terrorist attacks, especially in Somalia and northern Nigeria, where Boko Haram has been very active. Now, these place a huge burden on Ghana to address such issues with all vigor. But what does activities of the Anti-Monitoring Group Financial Action Task Force mean for Ghana? Former Deputy Chief of Staff Alex Segbefia says should they approve of Ghana's compliance to the anti-money laundering recommendations, the country is bound to attract more investment. Meanwhile, leader of the regional monitoring team, Rachel Chalmers, says there are 40 detailed recommendations which Ghana needs to continue working on.
The expectation is that all countries will abide by the international standards, and therefore in the case of Ghana we'd identified some strategic deficiencies in their application of those standards, and so we're looking to address Ghana to address those, which it appears to be doing so, but there are other areas of the standards where we're not focusing our work on, which Ghana will continue to have to work towards improving. Oh, well, I mean, there are quite a number of areas, but I mean, the standards have, the FATF standards have 40 specific recommendations which are very detailed. The Financial Intelligence Centre is an important link in the whole process in terms of ensuring that financial institutions are reporting their suspicious transactions, that those suspicions are being analysed, and that then it provides, the FIC provides information to the law enforcement authorities to investigate and hopefully in turn prosecute people who are involved in money laundering and terrorist financing.
We have a Financial Intelligence Centre led by Mr. Essel, who is totally on the ball and clearly knows exactly what should happen. The repercussions of not complying are that your banking regimes suffer. To transactions which should take 2 days, they will tell you take 5 days because they need more clearance. So it can actually slow down business, it can slow down your interaction with other nations. It's a whole regime, and we are now totally part of it. Our laws are in place, and the banks, the financial institutions have all gone through passing regulations that regulate them. Because Ghana is now an oil-producing country, all the other things that you worry about can't happen in Ghana. But I'm happy to say that we are up to date. Let's go through these 2 days and hope for the best in the 2 days.
Well, let's do some legal matters. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has filed his response to a petition by 3 personalities of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, challenging his election as president in last year's presidential election, and indicated his intention to call 4,800 witnesses to state his case. In a 15-page response, President Mahama accused the presidential candidate of the NPP, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, his running mate Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and the chairman of the NPP, Jake Obechebi-Lamptey, who are contesting his election, of seeking to subvert the constitution and undermine the sovereign will of the people of Ghana by demanding from the Honorable Court an order annulling the result of the exercise of their fundamental rights under the constitution.
The President, in a response filed at the Registry of the Supreme Court at 3 p.m. on Saturday, January 12, 2013, said he shall require from the petitioners particulars of the polling stations, constituencies and regions where pink sheets from different polling stations allegedly had the same serial numbers and the votes allegedly affected in each case. The petitioner's allegations are brazen attempts to find excuses for losing the 2012 presidential election, he said. The response filed on behalf of the president by his lawyer Tony Letha said the whole petition lacks merit and should be dismissed. An affidavit in verification deposed to on behalf of the President by Elvis Ifriye Ankra, the campaign coordinator of the President's 2012 campaign team, said the President demands from the petitioners particulars of names of persons who allegedly illegally padded and or unlawfully reduced the votes, the polling stations, constituencies and regions where the alleged acts occurred, and the votes affected in each such polling station, constituency and region. The affidavit further demanded from the petitioners particulars of the alleged overvoting, the names of polling stations, constituencies and regions in which the alleged overvoting occurred, as well as the amount of alleged overvoting in each case. According to the response, it was acknowledged by all observers, domestic as well as international, that the conduct of the elections had been generally free and fair as well as transparent. It further stated that the argument that there were some veiled reasons for the difference between 13,917,366 and the final number of voted registers smacked of utmost bad faith. Responding to claims by the petitioners that the EC delayed in furnishing the MPP with the final voters register, it said the NDC received both registers at the same time as the MPP and all other political parties. Therefore, whatever disadvantages may have been attended upon the alleged late delivery of the electoral register affected all the other political parties equally, it said. In reply to claims by the petitioners that the results declared for the presidential election exceeded those declared for the parliamentary elections by 127,210 votes, the President said, to the best of his knowledge and belief, a common register was used for both the presidential and parliamentary elections, and accordingly described the petitioners' allegations as clearly false and disingenuous. On allegations of voters being allowed to vote without verification, the President demanded from the petitioners names of the polling stations involved in the alleged practice of voting without biometric fingerprint verification, and the number of persons who allegedly voted in each such polling station without biometric fingerprint verification, as well as the constituencies and regions under which such polling stations fall. In any case, the President stated that quite apart from the fingerprint verification, there are other methods of verification permissible under the law. Failure, if at all, by eligible voters to undergo fingerprint verification through no fault of theirs can therefore not form the basis for depriving such voters their fundamental rights under Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution. The President denied allegations that some persons who had not undergone biometric registration were allowed to vote. Rather, he argued that to the best of his knowledge and information, only voters who had undergone biometric registration voted during the elections. He further demanded from the petitioners particulars, among others, of the polling stations at which persons who had not undergone biometric registration allegedly voted and the number of voters involved in each polling station, constituency, and region.
I always want the best for my children. That's why I trust New Geisha with extracts from nature, like aloe vera, because it cares for my family's skin, naturally. New Geisha naturally cares for your family's skin.
Change your life.
Dad Del.
With big wins every day.
Dad Del.
On Airtel's Dad Del promotion. Dad Del. Win Honda cars, trips to the UK with shopping money, a year's supply of shopping vouchers, Samsung phones and tablets. To win, gather points every time you top up. Make calls, SMS, use the internet, transact using Airtel Money Services, or join the Airtel family. And every day you reach your Obolobo value, your points are multiplied by 5 times. The more you use, the more your chances of winning. Change your life with Airtel's Dad Del promotion. Promotion runs up to the 28th of February 2013. Airtel, why you Dad Del?
You're welcome back to the news. Now, the sale of second-hand tires in Ghana is a booming and lucrative business that generates high profit margins for retailers and wholesalers. Yet, second-hand tires are a major contributor to the sprawling number of road accident statistics in the country. It is estimated that over 500 of the estimated 2,300 cases of motor accidents recorded in the country in 2011 were as a result of faulty vehicles or second-hand tires.
Tires can make a difference in the performance of one's vehicle. Even though the steering system drives the car, on the contrary, it is the tire that drives the vehicle. Second-hand tires imported into the country pose a great danger to vehicle usage as the weather is not conducive. They are also kept and left at the mercy of the weather, with the excessive heat causing the lining and treads to wear out, thereby adding up to the spate of road accidents in the country.
When you bring them here, you bring the snow tires to this hot temperature, then these tires are normally even overinflated. Now, even if you inflate at the normal tire pressure and you remove those metals in the tires, as the tires run on our roads, friction is generated, heat is generated. So the heat will make the pressure rise in the tires. So as you go, you know, the treads are put under stress. And you walk into a pothole, to another pothole, these treads break down gradually. So at the point where the tire will actually explode, there will be no pothole.
Some drivers who patronize these second-hand tires say they do so due to the harsh economic condition.
Second-hand tires it's brand new, brand new. I just say private cars, need to meet brand new. Indian commercial and theater. Second-hand ones now be na Ediguase. The first election they beat me as I say baby at 6 months.
Brand new nana nebo no e wosoro. Tiana minya storage jet na no na mepe. Insu tuta ota eno no ewia ne bo penche na ase na ewia no so bo a ota eno nsu ne start pe na ase ntino.
Others also prefer the brand new ones, which they say last longer than the home used ones.
If you use the brand new tire, you are comfortable with it, because many of times the second-hand tires, they are being expired before they brought it to Africa. So I think I prefer the brand new tires more than the second-hand tires.
Bedu deals in second-hand tires and notes the price range of the home-used tires makes it a preferred choice for some drivers, since they can get one as low as 20 cedis depending on the quality and grade.
At times the time a grade will be to set tire racing. When the grade no I was what to say when a mono and it's all the way price no compare any year and who said it fast I beton tire no a born into no. I'm out on home use, don't know how to home use no more, brand new. If it's a brand new boy, then if you are way at the so that brand new compare we are, but we bear for as an auto brand new back. And I'm okay, or the my four and I'm here, now is a bit Makoto, Tire brand new.
As earlier noted by some of these drivers, these second-hand tires don't last, and the National Road and Safety Commission's research findings indicate that second-hand tires are partly responsible for accidents in Ghana. Even though economic hardships might be the reason for the high patronage of these tires, it is advised that the right tires be used for vehicles.
When they are going for such tires, they should observe the tires and ask more history about the tire.
Well, let's go back to our earlier story where the president says he will call 4,800 witnesses. Now, that is obviously a huge number to bear testimony on his behalf in the court. Or earlier on, a member of the NDC legal team has been speaking to PM Express's host, Stephen Ainty, and he says that that is a way of President Mahama showing that he is publicly proving his innocence and following due process of the law.
One of the allegations being made in the petition is that there were irregularities at 4,709 polling stations. So by parity of reason and legally, if you want to prove your case, which the president has said that yes, he won the election fairly as declared by the Electoral Commission, and the results from the polling station right to the Electoral Commission was declared in open.
Do you think that the president's legal team is really actually going to bring 4,800 witnesses to court?
One thing we should not forget is that we should not sacrifice due process, the truth, for expediency, because we want to finish. Then the due process will not go through, because this is going to be a landmark case in our constitutional history or electoral laws. So if the parameters, everything is set down, I believe our children, our children's children will go to constitutional rule. And when they go through, you will see that the law has been expanded, and it will not come again when they will have to reverse or reinvent the wheel. So I think time will go. It's said that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but it grinds better.
Well, away from legal matters, let's go to somewhere else. Residents of English Yamanfrom, a vibrant and developing community in the South district of the Greater Accra region, lack access to potable drinking water for the past 30 years. The residents now rely on a stream in the community to cater for all their household chores. The situation, they say, is affecting the quality of their livelihood, and they are desperately appealing to government to immediately come to their aid.
English Yamanfrom is a vibrant and developing community that borders the Central and Greater Accra regions. Being only 15 minutes away by road from the nation's capital Accra, one would have thought the community would have seen pockets of development in terms of road infrastructure and access to potable water over the years. But sadly, this is not the case. Since the community was created some 30 years ago after the construction of the Weija Dam, residents are yet to witness any developmental projects in the area. The main road leading into the community is untarred, bumpy. A film of dust hangs in the air any time a vehicle passes by. Several other link roads are also in the same state. The community also lacks a proper drainage system, compelling residents to throw their wastewater in the open. This has resulted in an unpleasant smell in parts of the town. Vehicles plying the stretch have to carry way around the gullies that have developed on the road, or risk visiting the mechanic too often. The challenge of the untarred road is even more compounded because the road has been cut off by a stream, forcing many drivers to use the main Kaswa-Bodrasi road to access other communities behind English Yamanfrom. A journey that takes more than 2 hours, but which could be less, about 20 minutes, if a bridge is constructed over the stream. Here, only vehicles in good condition and 4x4s risk wading through the stream water, a venture which is quite risky. A wooden bridge constructed over the stream to serve as a passageway is weak and rotting away. Most of the wooden planks on the bridge have collapsed, posing a great danger to residents, especially school children, who use the bridge daily to and from school.
It's serious when it rains. This stream is called the J River, or the J that people used to call it. It looks as if the name derived from J Krudria, because when it rains at the top there, it descends to this Densu and passes to the Densu itself. So that's why the place is called J. The other time when it rained, in fact, I was crying because I came and saw a canoe ferrying school children, because people at the other bank of it, there's no any government school over there, so they all school around this area. The canoe take them 1 city. Look at that, the distance. Just to ferry them here and get them back is 2 cities daily.
But well, let's move away from the capital now. The Dinkwa Club village at Ntonso in the Kwabre East district of the Ashanti region is said to be recording dwindling fortunes as patronage of the traditional textile print drops. Foreign visitors to the community, which is one of the 4 communities producing local fabrics in the country, has hit an all-time low, a situation producers say threaten the local economy. Our correspondent Mohammed Nuruddin reports the village now records about 60 tourists a month compared to about 200 a day in the past.
Ntonso at Dinkwa village is on the Kumasi Mampong Highway.
22 kilometers from the Ashanti regional capital. It is Ghana's leading Adinkra cloth design and manufacturing site, where visitors have the opportunity to see at first hand the entire production process. The village is one of the 4 key traditional textile communities that promotes cultural conservation and tourism development in the country. The other 3 are Adanyoma Sekente village, also in the Kwaburi East district of the Ashanti region, Petoi Kente village in the Volta region, and Daboya Smoke or Fugu village in the northern region. Adinkra cloth, decorated with intricate design that are stamped manually with dye made from tree bark, is traditionally red and black and generally worn for funerals. Ntonso has over 60 traditional Adinkra stamps, and designers continue to create new ones. Visitors have the option to select designs and have the experience of stamping their cloth themselves. Suddenly, the village presently receives low patronage. Sales continue to dip as the number of visitors fall. In the past, over 200 people visited the village and about 1/3 of the number actually made direct purchases.
Well, so when we think of workplace and back pain, we normally think of manual tasks and workers not overstretching or not taking the necessary precautions before lifting loads. Now, few people would argue that modern life is more of sitting than it used to be. But whether it's simply sitting at desks or driving cars, there are other related hazards in the modern workplace, and one of the negative effects is an abundance of health-related issues such as lack of exercise and posture problems leading to low back pain. So what's the correct sitting posture? Take a look.
We take for granted a lot of things. Example, the way we sleep, sit or stand. One of the simplest and most effective ways of being in good health is to practice good or correct sitting posture. And to borrow from the Chiropractic and Wellness Center, posture is the window to the spine. Being the central support mechanism of the body, our lower backs carry a heavy load and they rarely get a chance to rest. Even when we are in bed, our sleeping posture may put undue pressure on some areas of the back. Improper sitting position is a major cause of nerve interference. And when we combine bad posture with lack of exercise, poor diet, overweight, and leading generally higher stress lifestyles, it can become a collision cause for poor backs, which are asked to do the vital job of supporting the whole bodies. Sitting with poor posture can lead to or yield negative effects on the body by placing stress on the back, joints, and tendons. It leads to improper body alignment, which can cause muscular imbalances. Dr. Courtney Brown, a chiropractic specialist at the Chiropractic and Wellness Center, gives insight into the effects of poor sitting habits.
Bad sitting position can lead to chronic back pain, and that's just one. It can cause numbness, tingling down our legs. It can cause weak muscles in our waist area. You know, when you're standing and you're feeling pain in your waist. Long hours of incorrect sitting posture. Okay. That can affect our health.
Joy News at 8, the business reports now. Meat products play a very important role in most people's diet. As friends and family got together during the festive season, it brought much business for abattoirs. But this appears to have subsided now that the season is over. We visited Johnny's Food and Meat Complex to check out how abattoir business is conducted and how they are doing in business after the festive season.
The abattoir is a place for all kinds of meat. Traditionally, an abattoir should cater for slaughtering and dressing the livestock. A lot of work goes into getting the final product, which is a well-packaged raw meat ready for consumers. Supervisor of Johnny's Food and Meat Complex, Benjamin Kojo Frimpong, takes us through the process.
We slaughter every animal, from cow to goat to sheep and also chicken. We also have a livestock section where you can also buy your livestock. We have cow available, we have goats, we have sheep, and we also have chicken. People do come in with their livestock and we do the slaughtering for them. But as you can see, the goat is being fired and it is done thoroughly to take every single fur away from the animal. So as you can see, it's being washed to take the dark parts, leftovers of the fire. It will be taken to the table where it will be opened and the offals will be taken out and washed clean. This is the bank saw machine that we use in cutting our meat after it has been processed. So it's used to cut into the size you desire. So it's only the customer's choice that will be cut for you.
Wow, it looks very sharp.
It's very, very, very sharp.
He says individuals can provide their own livestock and use their services for a fee of 25 Ghana cedis for sheep or 20 Ghana cedis for goat. Depending on the size, cattle can cost between 150 and 200 cedis. Contract butchers can also use their facility for a fee.
You can see one of the contract butcher from the market who is using our facility. That is the customer hiring him to slaughter his or her animal.
The meat complex is hoping to change popular methods of using tires to burn off the furs of animals they slaughter.
Initially, they were always using the tires in burning or firing their goats. And after initiating this gas project, in fact, it wasn't easy convincing them to get to the understanding that gas is hygienic for the consumers out there.
Technical Director responsible for food safety and product quality, Kojo Wilson, tells Joy News people must be wary of the kind of meat they consume as well as the procedure of getting the meat ready.
That's not really acceptable to use car tires to singe the meat, because they're also, during combustion, there are a lot of other chemicals that are released into the meat, though there has not been any scientific work to prove how much residue of these toxic materials are inherited in the meat. I will advise the consumers to be very mindful of where their meat comes from, because it's very important. This is for human consumption, and there are a lot of food-related illnesses around. The best practices mean doing things that are done internationally acceptable. There are standards for abattoirs or food processing areas. Our focus is to make sure we're able to implement all the best practices done internationally.
According to Benjamin Frimpong, the entire process of slaughtering the livestock, touching to remove furs, washing the body and intestines, and finally cutting and packaging could be done within the hour if the worker is smart. He says though business is slow after the Christmas season, consumers do appreciate their high standards.
Well, Volkswagen says its group sales hit a record high last year despite slowing sales in Western Europe. The German car maker sold 9.7 million cars last year, which is up 11% from 2011.
Sales in North America and Asia Pacific rose 26.2% and 23.3% respectively, helping to offset a 6.5% drop in sales in Western Europe, excluding Germany, where sales were up 1.9%. Volkswagen said it was optimistic for this year, despite the economic problems in the Eurozone. However, sales at Volkswagen are still expected to lag those at rival Toyota, which has forecast a 22% jump in sales last year to 9.7 million vehicles. Toyota has not yet released its official global sales figures for 2012. At Volkswagen, its passenger cars remain the most popular, recording sales of 5.7 million last year. Sales of sports car Porsche, which Volkswagen took over last August, were 59,500 between August and December. The economic turmoil in the Eurozone, which has seen several countries, including Greece, Portugal, and the Republic of Ireland, need international financial help, has hurt car sales in the region. Last week, Peugeot Citroën reported worldwide sales down 16.5% for 2012, which it blamed on the crisis affecting the European automobile market. Meanwhile, Honda revealed plans to cut 800 jobs at its Swindon plant, which it also blamed on weak demand in European markets.
Well, that does it for the business reports. Check out today's investment tips for you.
International News is brought to you by Global Lighting Center, your solution to quality lighting.
EcoBank, the rhythm of Africa.
Time to go beyond Ghana. The Nigerian military says it has arrested a leader of the Islamist militant group Boko Haram. Mohammed Zanjina was detained in the government-reserved area of the northeastern city of Maiduguri on Sunday afternoon.
Zanjina, also known as Malam Abdullahi and Alhaji Musa, was planning deadly attacks against civilians and security personnel there. Boko Haram is fighting to overthrow the government and create an Islamic state. The group has admitted being behind a number of attacks against churches and other establishments since 2009. More than 600 people were killed last year in attacks blamed on it. The military statement said Zanjina was leader of Boko Haram in the north-central part of Nigeria and coordinator of most of the suicide attacks and bombings in Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, Jos, and Potiskum. He was also a key member of the group's Shura committee, and a 25 million naira reward had been offered for his capture.
Away from Nigeria now, several million people have been bathing at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna rivers at Alhamdulillah.
Good evening. Welcome to the sports segment of the news. My name is Rashidat Baba Kadiri. We begin straight with the coach of defending champions Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Masoud Didi Dramani, who believes his side is still in contention for the 2013 Premier League title despite their inconsistent run so far. Kotoko beat Liberty Professionals by 2-0 at the Accra Sports Stadium yesterday in the final match of the first round of the Globe Premier League, and that result saw the Porcupine Warriors moving 3 places up to occupy the 3rd position on the league table.
The league is halfway, and once we are third from this stage, it's an encouraging position now. Our aim was to finish at the top by the end of the first round. Unfortunately, we could not get this feat, but we are still focused. We are still on target to still get to the top of the league. What we did over the week has also manifested in this game, and it's an indication that there are good things to happen in the second round.
So with yesterday's results between Kotoko and Liberty Professionals, a couple of changes have taken place on the league table. But first, here is a reminder from the last round of matches in the first round of the league. Liberty Professionals, they happened to lose by 1-0 against Kotoko yesterday, like I said. And then Amidas Professionals, they beat RTU by 4-0. Ash Gold and Bekum Chelsea drew 1-1. And then we have Adriana Stars drawing 0-0 with Ebuswan Dwarfs. Arsenal 1, Edubiasin 0. Madiama SC 1, Tema Youth 0. King Faisal 1, Hearts of Oak 1. Hearts of Lions 1, Wa All Stars 1. And so here are the results for the last round of matches of the Globe Premier League for first round after week 15. Now with these results, let's see how the table looks like now. And It's Mediama SC who finished the first round of the league on top with 30 points out of 15 games, and Aduana Stars follow in second position with 27 points. Kumasi Asante Kotoko, by virtue of yesterday's win, they are now third on the league table, and then fourth is Brekum Chelsea. They have 25 points. Ashgold, Amidas Professionals, Ebuswadwals, Heart of Lions, they follow in that order. And remember that Heart of Folk are in the relegation zone, and so if the league decides to go to an end today, it means that Hearts of Folk will be relegated. So this is how the first half of the league looks like. The second half, that's where we see Hearts of Folk lying on the 14th position with Brekum Arsenals and, of course, RTU occupying the last position on the league table. And remember that the RTU have set a record in the league by being the first club to have gone 15 matches with no win. Now, away from that, but we still dwell in the camp of Kotoko, and they and Brekum Chelsea seem to be carried away by teams from the sub-region, especially DR Congo and until recently Angola. The two clubs have jointly exported about 10 players to TP Mazembe and John Bosco SC, both in DR Congo, meaning quite a lot of Ghanaian players will be making appearances in the 2013 CAF Champions League and Confederations Cup. Now, the newest addition to the Inter-African player exodus is Kotoko striker Benjamin Achampon. The 22-year-old who played for Spanish Division 1 side FC Coruso joined Kotoko from WA All-Stars. He has joined Angolan side, top flight side actually, Petro Atletico de Luanda on a 2-year contract. Benjamin Achampon tells Joy Sports he is ecstatic about his new professional move, particularly because it will offer him the opportunity of tasting continental competition.
I'm really happy because, as you can see, every player I want to move forward. I was happy I got this opportunity. So I think I thank God for that one. I think they have their team already, and they see something good in me. That's why they need me. So I think I also go and prove a point so that we all work together so that the team will move forward, because that's now qualifying for Confederation Cup. So I think I have to go and
So the Black Stars seem to be on the right path to the AFCON 2013 tournament, which begins just on the 19th of this month, 5 days from today. Remember that in their first international friendly with Egypt, they won by 2-0. And then yesterday, they happened to be up against Tunisia. They came up from 2 goals down to beat Tunisia by 4-2. In case you missed out the match, of course, the match was played behind closed doors, and so a lot of us didn't have the opportunity to watch. Zayat Stadium inside Abu Dhabi, with the Black Stars winning by 4-2. We're sorry for those visuals. The video was actually taken by an amateur video man. And that's what ended for the sports segment on the news. Coming up is Showbiz with Gladys Osei-Redu. Good evening.
Beautiful to have you join us on Showbiz tonight. My name is Gladys Osei-Redu, and I'm going straight that Ghana has a music industry. It is no surprise. But how much do you know about this industry? And would you be surprised to know that no baseline study has been conducted to ascertain the real needs of the industry? Well, the Musicians Union of Ghana is launching a research project to gather primary data about the industry to spur its growth.
It is common knowledge that Ghana's music industry is beset with several challenges. But what remains unclear is what led to the problems in the first place. President of the Musician Union of Ghana, Musiga, Bice Osei-Kuffour, seem to have some ideas.
For the very first time, the Musiga is leading this research project to undertake a comprehensive study of the Ghana music industry. Not based on secondary data, but primary data, baseline data, gathering all this data, and then out of this study, we will develop the needs assessment, what the industry needs to move ahead. And then also out of this same data that we're going to get from the research, the consultants, together with the technical committee we're putting together, will come up with a 3-year strategic plan to develop and grow the Ghana music industry.
He says the research has become critical at this moment to be used as a tool for advocacy for the development of the industry.
How much are musicians there, those who perform at hotels being paid, those who perform at medium-sized theaters being paid, those who perform at schools being paid. You look at that and you set minimum wages for the industry. You get the support of TUC because you have data. You are no longer assuming. You have data to prove your point. I mean, when you have this data, it is then easier to get international investors to come and invest into the industry. This is a basis for advocacy, a basis for information gathering, and then during this same research, you would have the needs assessment, which is what we call more or less like a diagnosis of the industry, seeing what are missing in the industry that if fixed, it would make the industry grow further. So the needs assessment will go in a long way to grow the industry.
A stakeholders workshop will be held in Accra tomorrow to kickstart the research project, which, by the way, is being funded principally by the 2 million cedi budgetary allocation made to the sector in the 2012 budget.
That's a very good effort from Musica. Well, the much anticipated American presidential biopic Lincoln may be in for a long battle after it failed to win big at the Golden Globe Awards. The movie, tipped as favorite to win the Oscars this year, managed only one award, and Ben Affleck, who was ignored in the Best Director's race for the Oscars, surprisingly won that award at the Globes. What's your appetite for what you could be looking forward to tomorrow? So, owner of fashion label OBJ Clothing and Accessories has expressed his disappointment with rapper Sarkodie. Wondering why? Well, he feels the multiple award-winning rapper has disrespected him by commercializing his designs without his consent. You may have heard that Sarkodie is coming up with a clothing line, and indeed, he already has pictures, his designs on the internet. But OBJ says he created the designs being exhibited by BET award winner Sarkodie. We definitely will fill you in this filler tomorrow or sometime in the week. So you keep your dial right there on Joy News. My name is Gladys Osei-Oredu, and I now hand over back to my colleague, Gifty Ando.
Well, so that's about how we wrap up for tonight. Before we leave you, though, a recap of our top stories. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, has given hawkers up to close of business today to evacuate themselves off the streets and pavements of the Central Business District. President Mahama's response to the NPP Supreme Court petition is causing a stir, especially with the decision to call 4,800 witnesses. Also, residents of English Yamafrum who have not had potable water for over 30 years are crying for help. But that is just one of their problems. In business, we brought to you how abattoir operators are complaining of poor business after the Christmas, although they are still confident that the high standards of their work will bring clients back. Also on the international